Look, I don't want to give medical advice to anybody when I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, go on.
My experience with no, I try to be accurate with most of the things I say. As far as these tick things go,
you don't try to be accurate with most of things. Already we're off the rails with that.
Untrue. Accurate 95% of the time. I've pulled a lot of ticks off of myself. By a lot, I mean maybe 10 in my lifetime. You go hunting or whatever, play paintball in the woods, you get ticks in my hair. I just pull them the fuck out. Never once have I had like a chunk of the tick left inside of me. I guess it could happen, but it never did.
Yeah.
I've had way more than 10 ticks and maybe 2 heads in there.
Yeah, Lyme disease is the real concern. Lyme disease fucks you up in so many weird ways.
They can cure it now, but I don't.
It takes years though.
And it can still make you like allergic to meat and stuff or something like
weird things like that. Yeah, exactly. Like you'll just be like weak and not be able to like have any energy for like 5 years. Or you'll be like Taylor said, allergic to red meat now. It's like, what the fuck?
I had a tick this year, and the tick bite location got kind of red. So I just happened to go to a doctor for an annual physical, and I was like, hey, while I'm here, what do you think of this location? There was a tick right there, and now it's got this red thing. And he said, watch for a fever, which didn't happen, and watch for a bullseye style like redness. And so I didn't get Lyme disease from it. Either of those things were a thing. But there's your 95% accurate. If you get bit by a tick followed with a bullseye, whatever that looks like, does it literally have like rings of red? I don't know. And but the fever,
and then the numbers.
Yeah.
If your head spins
the
around.
17 and the 15 and I got a couple ticks just like 2 weeks ago. I was fishing in some tall grass and I noticed them like hours and hours later. They were both on the back side. One on the back of my calf, like near that knee crux, and the other one on the side of my knee on the same one. And but even worse than those, I got a bunch of chiggers. And chiggers are the worst. So much worse than
always playing their loud music. Oh, chiggers. Yeah, those are awful.
I'm talking about the bug that bites you while you're fishing, Kyle.
Gotcha.
Goose. But a way to get rid of those is you take like a clear nail polish and you paint it over the site where it's like buried in, and then it suffocates apparently. And
it's not that clear nail polish has like something special in it. It's just that you look silly when you have to use purple. Trust me.
Yeah, have you done that before?
Yes, I have. I was like Kitty doesn't paint her nails, and I had chiggers all over my like ankle area from like wearing like right above my sock, and like they had just gotten me good in this field in Tennessee, and they itched like a motherfucker, and I was like, I need nail polish. She's like, this is all I've got, and it's fucking purple. I'm like, well, fuck it. If it's gonna make this itching go away, just and you can't I couldn't tell like exactly where they were. Like it wasn't like, oh yeah, like it's not like a bee sting. It's just like everything itches in this area. So I just painted my whole upper ankle area purple with nail polish, and I fixed it in like a day.
What happens to them when they die under there? Do they just like get into your just recycled through your bloodstream or something somehow?
Those are questions I don't ask. I think the way they work is they like burrow in, and they're like they're inside of your skin, and then they've got like their asshole like hanging out in the world or something, breathing and shitting simultaneously, and you just block that up and they suffocate.
That's so chiggers are disgusting. Yeah. Burying into your skin with their ass in the air.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
What are those? Are they like a kind of tick? What the fuck are they?
There's some sort of weird parasite. I think I saw like a microscopic photo of one time because they're tiny as fuck. Like you can't see them. Or I couldn't. But I think
you're right. They're
like a little wormy thing.
Teeny tiny. They're called berry bugs, I guess.
Berry bugs. Fuck,
that's too nice of a name.
But chiggers might be too harsh.
Yeah. I
don't know why they went with chigger.
In this article, this guy's got like 1,000 chiggers.
I need the etymology of that word.
The etymology, where'd it come from? Man, these things are annoying. It's just some like horrible Southern guy. Everybody's like, well, Edwin came up with a real interesting word to describe these bugs. I think this is gonna catch on.
I feel like I'm gonna take all the heat for this. They're like, Woody says chigger with an aggressive R. It's the hardest R out of the whole group. Woody and Chigger. Jeez.
I don't think Chiggers like are a Northeast or like a Northwest or like a
how
Europe
funny is that? If
thing.
there's people who think we're just making a thing up.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think a lot of
do they
people out of the
keep
country
saying
know what a
it?
chigger is. Like, where
They'll know
it's
in Jersey.
it's the larva of something, right? Like, it's not the actual like thing.
I think you're right.
I think it's like the larva. It's that to me makes it even more disgusting. That they're like the fucking xenomorphs from the Alien movie. Like, part of their like life cycle is burrowing into something until they turn into another thing. Fucking gross. Nature's disgusting most of the time.
Fortunately.
Oh no, I guess they live everywhere. If you're in a moist, grassy area like a field, these things can get you.
Chigger came from the word chigo and not anything else.
Chigga,
Right.
as they prefer to be called.
Kyle, don't say chigga. You might think it's okay, but it's not.
It's not.
No, you can't say chigga. People will still hold it against you.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather get mosquito bites than have these things.
Of course, mosquito bite goes right away. You rub a little alcohol on that bitch, and it's no more. Unless
Do you know anybody who's allergic to mosquitoes?
No, I didn't know that was a thing.
Is that
It is. I know someone who is. It's not like they get sick, but like, you know how you'll get a mosquito bite and it's just a little kind of tiny little red bump.
Yeah, the itch.
They would get that same bite and it would be like $50 sized and like infinitely more itchy.
They inject something into you. That's probably what they're allergic to.
Yeah.
Their
Their saliva. Yeah, it's
anticoagulant
or something like that.
It's an anticoagulant and what's the thing that stops pain?
like
that
I've got Novocaine in my head.
An anesthetic.
Anesthetic. Yeah.
I forgot about this. It's popping back in my head. The other day, I was driving home from somewhere trying to get home. And I was in traffic. And you know how if you're in a big line of traffic and there's someone trying to exit and take a left into that turn lane, you'll like kind of be courteous and you'll create a gap between the car in front of you and where you stop so that you allow them to turn left and get through so they're not stuck. So there was this truck trying to get out. And so I stopped and was going to try and let him through. And it was at that moment that I noticed this man in the F-150 is missing both of his arms past the elbow, both of them. Like one arm has like a little chicken wing kind of hook at the end of it. And the other one's got nothing. It's a man in there, no arms, and he's going to turn by my car.
He needs a Tesla.
And as soon as I see him like leaning forward to do the no arm turn like this, like doing stuff like that, like I can't not look. And he saw me looking, but I still wanted to look because I wanted to see how he was going to make the turn. And he made the turn expertly, like almost as though he's used to not having arms. You know, silly me. Like in that situation, I'm thinking like, has he done this before? Like so clearly he has. He turned into the place. But that guy surprised me. Goes to show you don't even need arm to drive better than a woman.
Jesus Christ.
I love your moral of the story.
So there you go.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that made me sad though, because like his arms were all like skinny and fucked up too. Because like, how are you gonna lift stuff and like it's just,
I was driving with
situation.
someone like a year ago, and we basically had to turn around. That's it. And you know how to turn around. You can hit a U-turn, or if you need to, like make 3 rights, or you know the thing.
Yeah.
So, or I guess 3, whatever. This person did it wrong. Like we needed to turn around. They went right, and then they went into the parking lot, and they spun around there for an awful long time, and then they come back on the road, and we go the same direction we started. And I'm just like, I can't look. I don't pretend to be some sort of NASCAR driver, but I know how to turn around, and this level of craziness is unrelatable to me, and that's how it went down.
I like to think of myself as a top tier turner.
Right?
Yeah, top tier, a triple threat. TTT, top tier turner.
I thought I was at least an average driver in the Tacoma, but now that I have a full size truck, I might be below average. I don't know. I don't hit the parking lot you pull in a spot, I have to correct it, readjust sometimes. I can tell you.
I was driving a friend's Hyundai Elantra or something, probably 8-10 months ago. and I was parking because they'd been drinking, and I felt like I could enter the world championship of parking in that thing, where it was like, go full speed, whoop, just right into the spot. Perfect distance between the white line and my doors. Nobody's banging into me and giving me, no parking lot gremlins giving me a ding. Speaking of other handy around the house tools, I noticed a couple spiders crawling around in my workout unfinished area downstairs. And so I got a bunch of sticky traps that you like lay where you think, like up against the wall where you think the spiders or the bugs are walking, and then they get stuck and die. And I bought way too many of them because I was gung ho. And so I like put them all down there. And those ones, by the way, doing great. Like I'm in Missouri, so as the brown recluse thing here is real. We have so many brown recluse. Every single house in this state has a bunch of brown recluse in it. They don't really care about you, like they try and avoid you. That's why they're called a recluse. But also, anyone out there who notices a brown recluse on a sticky pad or anything, they play dead. So don't touch it. Don't do anything with it. If it's stuck, it'll pretend to be dead until it's not.
Are you ever worried that one of them's going to get in the ear of your headphones?
No, I'm not afraid of stuff like that. That doesn't bother me.
Oh. You should be.
You should be.
Oh, you should. Didn't you hear about that guy in fucking Minnesota who got his ear rotted out? But anyway, I had so many of them that I'm like, well, I'm not. I got to use all these right now. And so I like started going around and like doing a little foldy do and putting them in other rooms throughout my house. And I was in my bedroom and I wanted to put it over to the side somewhere just to see if I would catch anything. And it's just a big flat piece of, sticky with the tear off sheet. And then once you tear the thing off, you take it and you kind of fold it. But it's kind of annoying to do that because like I touched it and it gets all over your fingers. It's not nice. And I peeled it off and got my finger stuck a little bit. And
you're lucky you survived this experience, Taylor.
Yeah, I know. And while I was freeing my finger, the thing fell. And I was like, oh, and in the middle of the air, it goes, boom, face down on my carpet with the sticky ass side down on there. And so I tried to like pry it up. It's so strong that like, when you pull on carpet, you can see it raise from the floorboards a little bit. It was doing that. And to such a point that I was lifting it up and taking like scissors and trying to like cut the least amount of like threads of carpet out of it because it wouldn't come off. Like if I tried
to a razor blade, like a flat one where you could shave.
Well, I didn't have you around at the moment. So I was just like trying to snip the littlest bit because if I tried to just gung ho it would have tore the whole thing out, I think. So the fuck do you have a scalpel for?
Scalping.
I was talking about before you started the ad read and I went to the bathroom. I saw a potential candidate this past weekend for Cool Guy of the Week. Okay. Now, I went to the zoo with my girlfriend.
Real life person.
And real life person that I saw just in passing. I was at the zoo with my girlfriend and another couple, and we were just hanging out, walking around. And this was right as we arrived. So we were walking towards the fucking penguin exhibit or whatever, where we were supposed to meet him. And at the entrance to the St. Louis Zoo, there's a bunch of little, you can get your caricature or you can get your face painted for kids. Like, I want to be a lizard or whatever. And I was walking by the caricature booth, and there's this guy sitting there doing the caricature, and there's a girl sitting there, a young girl, maybe like 6 to 8 years old, very young and very fat. And I can see what he is drawing. And he drew a straight up pig snout and pig ears on this girl. And I was halfway tempted to be like, babe, can we stick around so we can see the reaction here? Because there's this smiling little fat girl and he's got a big pig nose on her and pig ears. And that guy, I wish I could have stopped him and shook his hand. That is so fucking funny. A little dose of reality.
If she doesn't want to buy that.
If she doesn't want this, can you hold it for me? It's like,
that's just terrible.
It's my last day.
Big ass pig nose. Right?
Teflon
that ice cream
pans. If you grew up eating Teflon coated pans, it literally makes penises smaller.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I'm a cast iron man.
Yeah, I've always.
But I don't know. Maybe I ate off Teflon as a kid. Who fucking knows?
So just imagine how
Wait,
big I could have
does it
been.
make you cancer? Yeah.
I mean, it would have been an
It's
act of
illegal.
cruelty if my mom hadn't used Teflon.
Oh, thank God she was Teflon. Where would I get my pants?
Where would I get
No,
my...
that's a true thing. You can Google that one.
I didn't know that. Oh,
Kevin
Kevin
Spacey's.
Spacey you're talking about.
Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey.
Just running
going
through
the
my
other
sex
way.
offender list.
Going the other way. All charges dropped.
Uh-huh.
Kevin Spacey
Yeah.
vindicated. All right. Second greatest living actor. All right.
Vindicated.
Yeah, vindicated is a generous way to phrase
the
it.
kid wouldn't
how-
give up his phone for some reason and pled the fifth on its location, so Kevin Spacey's innocent.
Now, I
That's
told
right.
you I would get away with molesting that boy, and where are we today? I'm about to go back to the office and molest yet another Secret Service agent. I need to employ someone first to find out which one has the juiciest penis, but that'll only satiate me for a while until the cold allure of a child's unwilling eyes staring into me as I change his life forever forces me to hep back on that Epstein plane. That would be so fucking funny. The first thing he did was like, Kevin, oh, stop. What are you, TMZ, what are you going to do with your freedom? Me and my buddy Jeff are going to go for a flight.
The
Or my
Lolita
buddy Jeff's
Express is
locked up,
vacant,
so-
bitches!
Yeah, just
Woo!
Lolita Express.
I'll
I'm
just
going to
push,
church
it's the
at that
Lolita
weird-ass
Express.
temple on that island.
No, vindicated.
Those kids are
Vindicated.
15 now, but I'll make do.
Yeah.
They should have put that show on hiatus until they got to the truth of the matter.
It
all
was
right?
already going downhill, dude.
No, it wasn't. You keep fuck shit mouth. Don't you dare.
Poopy mouth.
dare speak ill of that show. That show was killer, man. Like it's hard
Was
to top
it?
the first season. Yes, it was killer. It's hard to top the. It's one of the greatest shows of all time.
How many
It's hard
seasons
to-
was he in? 3?
3 or 4, right?
4. I think he did 4, and then there was a 5th season, and that was the garbage one.
Okay.
Look, it's hard to top the first season because you're just being introduced to this shit, and you're learning every step of the way. And then then he gets in office, and it's like, well, now what do we do? I loved every season of that show. They did get progressively worse, but you're starting so goddamn high that
Yeah.
even at its worst, not counting that season he wasn't in, you're still at some of the best shit that's on television. Unlike Game of Thrones, whereas I thought that last season was fucking shit, and I regret watching it. I wish I could erase that from my mind. So, like the early seasons of Game of Thrones, I'd like to erase from my mind so I could watch them again. The last season, I want to erase from my mind because I unfortunately watched it the first time.
Yeah.
But even the 4th season of Game of Thrones of House of Cards was excellent. I love that shit. But that last season with just his wife running shit, it seemed like
Did you
nobody
watch
knew
it?
what they were. Oh yeah, I watched every episode of it. It was garbage.
Was it like painfully bad?
I didn't finish it.
It was like it was hard to watch, and it ended on such a stupid fucking note.
saw
It
the
ended
ending.
so.
How did it
so
end?
fu-
I don't care. I'm never gonna watch it.
I've told it before on the show. So it like quickly, basically, Claire kills the bald guy who was his confidant through
Yeah.
everything. Claire murders him in the Oval Office with a letter opener. It's sort of a switcheroo because you thought he was going to murder her, despite being pregnant with Kevin Spacey's baby. But he's never on screen. They won't even play like his voice in the audio recordings. They have people listen to them with headphones. They're trying so hard to distance themselves from the guy who made the fucking show, that even now when I flip through Netflix and I hover over House of Cards, like he's not even on the cover. It's her on the cover, like sitting on the Washington Monument sort of thing. It's fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. I don't care what he did.
She's sitting on the Washington Monument.
Or
Wow.
the Lincoln Memorial, I should say.
Oh,
if
okay.
she sat on the
That's not as
Washington
hot.
Monument, that would be
Yeah,
that'd be
that
hot.
would be a fucking funny thing. It's just her squatting, being
Ah!
penetrated by the Washington Monument.
like a what do they call that? A Judas cradle. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the Judas cradle.
Yeah, Google it. You'll
give
see
that
that
a quick
I was spot on with that
Googling.
reference. Well, I was linked something from your Twitter recently, and it
Taylor's
yeah.
Twitter.
yes, from Taylor's Twitter at Mercadurka, and it seems that Taylor has made the claim that if you gave him, and correct me if I'm wrong here about this quote,
I don't
if you
remember. what
gave
it said.
him a YouTube tutorial in half an hour, he could be top 5 in any women's sport in the world.
Okay, well, my quote actually is: "Women suck ass at sports. Give me 45 minutes in a YouTube tutorial, and I'm top 5 in any woman's sport instantly." LOL.
Okay.
Yeah. So
No.
what I said, but much meaner.
But okay, so on the surface, that's clearly bullshit, right? Like he's not going to be a top swimmer or a tennis player or whatever. But which sports could Taylor just walk into the top 5 in?
Oh shit!
We're gonna have a
genuinely
hard time
not many.
Really?
Like,
what about
there's at least
powerlifting?
5 bad bitches out there in every
not
sport.
powerlifting.
Bodybuilding.
No, not powerlifting.
Bodybuilding.
Like, they're a strong.
No, not bodybuilding.
No, body. Like I may be taller
and
but
stronger
like,
and bigger. Give him a.
There are some really
it's not about being
women.
strong and,
look at
and
the
bigger.
Olympic
It's about definition and
a
stuff.
2-week
you know?
cut, and he just crushes those girls.
No, I got a lot of shit hanging out in the midsection.
I gave you 2 weeks.
But if we're talking about powerlifting, it would take a long time to do that because these bitches have been doing nothing but deadlifting in the Ukraine since they were 2.
What's your deadlift max? Do you know?
I've stopped deadlifting 100% ever since I watched that. Yeah, because I watched a couple other YouTube videos that were like, unless you're training for like a sport or something, it's not worth fucking your back up to get marginally better at this lift. And so I'm just sticking to like squat, bench, overhead press, and row. Yeah, and then, of course, a bunch of accessory workouts like face pulls.
I think like to be a top 5 woman female power lifter,
it'd be a lot, dude.
You got to squat like 650 pounds or something.
There needs to be a sport. Hammer throw.
No way. That is so
that's like super. Yeah, that's super technical. You need to know exactly when to let go. Shot put, same thing. Super technical.
Yeah, but that's
you let go at the end.
That up.
All right.
I threw shot.
I've said before. I did do shot put. I did shot put and discus in my sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
Because I've said before that my dad and my mom were at the event and they had me do the 100-meter hurdles because we didn't have enough people, and I just humiliated myself and just laughed by so much.
Dad's
just
reading the paper.
I sucked at it. And then the coach was like, "All right, Taylor, good effort. How about you go over to just the throw heavy things as far as you can?" And I get over there and I realize I'm in the retard square, where every other team has also been like, "All right, fat kid, go throw the giant shot
put he can do."
So I did that.
Shot put
maybe I could.
Yeah, I just watched an Olympic shot putter put a shot, and I feel like I could compete in this sport. This is pretty.
You think
17 feet.
Wait a minute.
That's gotta be meter.
Hockey. Why not?
Oh shit.
Hockey.
Oh, but that'd be hard because there's no hitting in women's hockey. That would be what gave me the edge.
they'd be doing circles around you, right?
You could be goalie.
I could be.
Oh, he's gonna fill that goal out quite nicely. It's a smaller goal, right?
No, same size goal.
Well,
if I were like on point, like when I was 18, I would have been the best female goalie on earth by an enormous magnitude.
Yes.
They just can't shoot the puck hard enough for it to make a difference. Like their hardest slap shot would be like something I get from practice from a decent player.
I used to look at the Guinness Book of World Record in swimming and be like, I could be the fastest girl in the world right now, or the fastest boy up to 1894.
Yeah.
Also, I was reading something about women's reaction times and how
it's slower.
it's significantly slower, even among professional athletes, I guess. Like we have faster reaction times than most female professional athletes. It's like a quarter second or something like that they're slower.
It's a big difference. Like that, women are much better at perceiving shades of color than men, and men are much better at tracking fast-moving objects. And they think evolutionarily that's like a hunter-gatherer kind of thing, where you like obviously you need to excel at one of those given things given your role. But like as far as I'm trying to find the fucking powerlifting records right now for what they do.
You're not gonna.
I guarantee I couldn't do this.
Yeah,
are these pounds or are these?
It's going to be in kilograms, but we were looking at.
I would say. I wonder what the bench press is. I think so lower body is going to be difficult because women have very strong lower bodies. So like
almost half as strong as men.
I mean, I think it's more. I think it's
upper
more
body difference is way bigger.
The upper body difference is massive. So like overhead press, and bench press, and stuff like that. You're definitely going to probably be a top 5 woman in the world. It's something like that. But like
312 pounds.
bench
is the biggest bench by the IPF, International Powerlifting Federation, I guess. I don't know.
300's a lot, though. Can you?
That is a lot. No, I can't bench press 300.
I don't know.
Pounds.
You're really strong. If you told me you could, I'd have bought it.
if I really devoted myself for way longer than 45 minutes in a YouTube tutorial, then I might be able to. But that, credit where credit's due.
Oh, that's
really
the other
impressive.
thing. He laid down that gauntlet of 45 minutes in a YouTube tutorial.
Yeah,
so a lot of this.
We're not talking about
shit.
Max Taylor that he grows into at 30.
What about
No, the whole point of the tweet was to get people upset about it and then get people to be like, no, fucking Serena Williams would beat your ass. And then I was hoping that people would say stuff like that so I could be like, nah, dude, I've watched her serves online. I know exactly what to do.
Oh, wow.
just things like that. But apparently enough people following are like, he's baiting that they didn't engage. So
what about a combat sport? Like what about combat?
I wouldn't be able to do it because there are no women in, like, I'd have to cut so much weight I would be dead.
Also, I think some of these women would just flat out beat him. The elite ones, Amanda Nunes for sure.
Yeah, they know how to box and do special moves. All I could hope for is that I could just brute strength.
I need to see Amanda Nunes fight Taylor to know what's going to happen. I need to see it. She weighs 135 pounds. I
would pay $60 for that.
What if he grabs her?
I think that she's tricky, right? She's a BJJ black belt, I think. And I don't know. Like a guy that knows how to grapple versus a guy that doesn't seize opportunities. And I bet she would do that.
What if I played mind games? Like, as she's doing stuff, I'm like, yeah, just like that, harder.
Her English isn't so great.
You know what I would...
Her English isn't good? Okay, so no mind games.
Colin,
to learn a few Russian phrases.
Colin likes to wrestle all the time, and I tickle him because he's not going to like lay on subs and chokes and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I tickle him. But I've convinced him that adults aren't ticklish, that it's something that goes away. So all I have to do is hold out for a little bit, and he quits at it.
It was... Yeah,
done some research for us. I believe you've looked into this. You've done the
pages
Look into it.
Pages
Look into
of
it.
Research. And I started off thinking this was dumb, but see if you wind up where I am by the end.
I don't think I will.
This is about the moon landing.
Mm-hmm.
Now it turns out there's a lot of reasons not just to trust it, because the government is always against you. So number one, that flag waving there's no atmosphere on the moon. There's no air on the moon. How is that flag in the photo waving?
Should we debunk these, or do you want an actual answer, or should we just let you?
No, you can try and give your answer. The conspiratorial site that I went to said that it cannot be explained.
It absolutely can be explained. There's a wire in it, and what's happening is it's wobbling because the wire is in the top part of the flag and it's slanted downward, so it's doing one of these. It's literally the moon's gravity sort of pulling down on the flag and the little thin wire they have in the flag to keep it out, because it would look pretty.
Really? Because
dumb.
NASA denied the existence of said wire.
They did not.
I made that up just now. So.
I know you did.
Well, you have a lot of points coming to debunk.
Good luck with this.
One up, one down.
All right. Okay. Well, riddle me this.
Mm-hmm.
There was no impact crater from the landing, and we all know the moon is covered in a light layer of dust that kicks up and moves visibly anytime something lands. All of the dust near the spokes or whatever the hell, the landing gear, none of that's been disturbed. There's no crater from the landing, as you would expect from a larger object like that. At least a small something. You wouldn't... Crater's the wrong word. There's no disturbance.
If there's a crater, we have...
If there's a crater, then we fucked up the entire thing. But there's no disturbance visible from the landing site. Not even dust kicked up.
When they take off, shit flies everywhere.
Well, is there a video of them taking off?
Yeah.
No, there's not, because this was all filmed in North London, which I'll get to later. So one to one now. Okay.
I like that we all get to announce our own scores. I've got one too.
I fall in
one for Woody.
NASA representative.
All right. Well, I'll go on to point 3, which is even stronger. Now, when you're on the moon, there's one light source. That's the sun. Even NASA has said there's no external lighting, because you know how people used to say, like, how did they take the picture of the lunar module from way over there? What it was is an extended arm to take a picture of itself. Like, that was debunked pretty quickly.
The original selfie stick.
Yeah, the original selfie stick. Exactly. This, You can see multiple shadow lines at a 90-degree angle on the legs of the lunar mobile and on the flag and on the astronauts in some cases, not always in every scene. I say scene because this is a film, a fabrication. And so that means there was lighting being used almost like it were in a studio or something. So if there were the sun and don't debunk this. If there were a sun and if there were the sun and an external lighting piece, that would lead us to believe this is a fakery of sorts. Because if they were truly on the moon, one source of lighting. NASA even came out and said there was an external lighting. So,
okay,
2-1. Okay.
No, the lighting. I've heard this lighting get deep dove into, and the lighting is proof that it was true. Like that.
That's not true. That's not what I have written down.
I mean, I have heard that the technology at the time can't duplicate the lighting they got. It would be more difficult to do moon lighting fakery than it would be to land on the moon.
Dude, that is like the funniest thing to me, that people use that argument when they're like, it would be harder to fake the lighting or to fake this in some studio than it would be to go to the moon. It absolutely wouldn't be harder to do that. It's very hard to go to the moon. Us and the Soviets were duking it out. But regardless, Woody, I don't think that's
I don't know that I'm going to take lighting expertise from a guy who sat in the dark for the first year of the show.
This is from reputable. Yeah. Well, NASA's own explanation for it is an uneven surface. They said that an uneven surface on the moon explains that, which I don't know. I'll leave it up to our intelligent skeptic listeners to decide.
Okay.
It's 2-1 in one direction. We don't know yet.
Okay.
All right. The Van Allen radiation belt. Do you know what the Van Allen radiation belt is?
Yeah.
All right. Take it away.
So.
It's the magnetic field that surrounds the planet. It protects us from the harmful radiation from the sun and from the solar system, from space in general. And once you pass through it, you're no longer under the protection of the Van Allen radiation belt, and you're exposed to a lot of radiation.
Well, and there's also a lot of radiation in that belt that's somehow held there because of the way the Earth's magnetic core reacts with it. I don't know all the science, neither did these people. But turns out that the U.S., that NASA sent covertly, before we sent that chimp, we sent a German Shepherd. And in that Van Allen radiation belt, died. Burnt, just given horrible cancers and whatnot. And yet, the astronauts were able to make it through the Van Allen belt.
You're telling me
no
the
other
dog
living
died
creature
of
has
cancer?
successfully done that. Yeah,
Did the dog died of cancer?
Well, the dog died of very quick cancer. Really, really rapid. Like, when you see a wild deer that has like those tumors all over its face, it was kind of like that, And what else did I write down about it?
They gave it enough air to develop cancer. Shocking.
It would punch right through this kind of radiation, right through the supposed protective aluminum interior and exterior of the shuttle.
Yeah, it's very thin.
It's very, very thin. And the radiation, teeny little tiny particles. We all watch Chernobyl. That's where I get almost all of my knowledge of how this works.
Me too.
And so
HBO miniseries.
Yeah, I'll take a 3-1 on that. No, you know what? You're right. We'll tie it up. It's 2-2.
2-2 in some direction.
There is an object in the reflection of one of the astronauts' helmets. I think it was Aldrin or whatever the fuck. Or I guess it wasn't Aldrin. He wasn't there, right? Or who was this? Buzz Aldrin was the second one, right?
Yes.
Okay, the second supposed Buzz Aldrin, renowned actor, Buzz Aldrin. Now, the object in the reflection of this the screen that he had, there was a hanging object. An object that is not at all consistent with what you would have seen on the moon at the time when you were landing. It is an object consistent with what you would see from suspended lighting on a set. And you can see that clearly in the reflection as a mistake from Stanley Kubrick, who I'll get to later, in the reflection. So if that's not hard proof that you can kind of see something in the reflection in one of those photos, I don't know what is. 3-2.
All right. I'm looking at their helmets. I don't see any reflections.
You need to find the one photo that kind of makes it look like that. All right. The mirror experiment. We've all heard that. Well, there were mirrors put up there. And now they can shine a light and a laser and see where we are and calculate trajectories because of these mirrors. Those mirrors were placed there in 1961. We have experiments in 1962, 7 years before we supposedly went to the moon, doing those exact same trajectory experiments. So that has no bearing on this on the moon landing.
How did they get the mirrors there?
From other means. No, I think I actually did read this. Apparently, you can do it without the mirrors in a different way. I don't know how that possibly works, but
a laser would help.
Yeah, apparently we were doing some of that stuff in the early 60s. Not that actually helps my point, but I'm taking the point.
Okay.
The slow-mo walking. If you speed up the moon landing footage 2.5 times, they're walking normally. Now, when you're walking underwater, and if someone were to film that and they sped it up 1.5 times or whatever to get you to the normal walking candor, normal walking speed, it wouldn't look like normal walking because you're in water. Like, it would be more labor, it'd be more movement. That's not what we see in the moon landing. We see what is effectively very slowed down normal walking. You can also make out little hints of wires holding them up.
This is the most horseshitty of all of them because I've seen them walk and they bounce high and they arc and sometimes they just jump up and down in place for no particular reason. They don't do normal Earth things at all.
I'm telling you, man, that's movie magic. That's Hollywood magic.
I'm taking a point on this one because this one is the most horseshitty of all of them. They're like,
all right, you're right. I shouldn't have put that one in the list because it gives you guys a free point. That was a bad penalty kill on my part. So, here's an actual interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are no stars visible anywhere in any of those photos. And the explanation from NASA is that the stars got washed out because of the low quality of the camera. The problem is that in decades prior, taken through the atmosphere on Earth, you can see stars pretty clearly, even with washed out, terrible cameras. And so what was their explanation for it? Yeah, it was just that it washes them out. Even the high-res pictures that they kind of try and construct from this event, supposed event, show that there are no stars in the sky. And so why is it that there are no stars in these photos? You can look all these up. It's because they knew that if they were going to fake the moon landing, trying to get every constellation in the perfect spot so that it could be verified from every angle would be impossible. And so they just washed out the stars entirely and said, that's not true. And for any conspiracy, you need a good motive. And the motive would be to beat the Soviet Union in the space race. It would have been pretty humiliating if Kennedy in 1962 or whatever said, we will have a man on the moon in 1969 or before the 70s. Hopefully I'm not dead. He said all those things. And it would have been pretty humiliating. The Soviet Union was ahead of us with rocket, with propulsion, with any other space word I can think of off the top of my head. They were all ahead of us. So the no stars thing, pretty poignant, if I do say so myself.
I think the reason my guess would be that, there's a lot of light being reflected up from the moon's surface because of that, can't think of the name of it, but that dust is like super reflective. There's a reason the moon is so bright besides the sun reflecting off of it, but it's reflecting off that really white, powdery soil. It seems like,
you can see stars when you're in the middle of the ocean and there's more reflectivity off of the water surface than there is off of the moon, I would think.
I would think not. Because it's a liquid that's sort of clear,
or then in the snow in Antarctica, whatever.
Well, it's not daytime in Antarctica. And when it's daytime in Antarctica, you can't see the stars.
Well, this was like a lunar sunset, wasn't it? When they said they filmed, I don't know.
It was daytime. That's why everything's lit up.
You get 2 questions in, and I'm out of my depth. I don't like this.
Stars are rarely seen
quickly today.
Stars are rarely seen in space shuttle, mirror, and Earth observation photos. Even photos taken at sporting events at night. The light from the sun in outer space in the Earth-Moon system is at least as bright as the sunlight that reaches the Earth's surface on a clear day at noon. So cameras used for imaging subjects illuminated by sunlight are set for daylight exposure. The dim light of stars was not provide enough exposure to record visible images. Once again, Taylor, stay away from lighting.
What crackpot site is this from?
It's from Wikipedia.
Wikipedia, the well-known George Soros operation. Wikipedia.
They're referencing the NASA Earth Observatory blog and Plot. I don't know what plot is.
Plot. Yeah. People lying about the truth. about Trump.
One of the things that always
You know what? That's a point for Taylor.
All right, yeah. We're back in this. All right, I almost want to skip the next one because it's just going to give you guys a point.
It's a slam dunk.
It's so one of them is the C rock. If you look up the C, as in like the letter C rock, you'll see a rock that has like a perfectly etched C in it. And the explanation that these people, I mean, the people I believe are giving is that it's a set piece. You know, they had rocks A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and they were moving them around to make sure they're in the exact right spot. NASA's explanation is that it was a stray piece of wire or twine that got stuck to the rock, which I'm not so sure about that. My explanation would be rocks do get hit in weird ways all the time, and C is a pretty normal shape, right?
The one of the things that I've always wondered about, and I've heard talked about, I don't know that much about radiation either. But it would seem to me that we're up there a lot. But during the moon missions in particular, we left the radiation belt and we shouldn't have had that protection of the magnetic field. But they always say that it's just not enough radiation to kill a human, but it should be enough radiation to ruin the film in the cameras. So that's one that's always been really interesting to me is like why didn't that radiation fuck up the film?
That is interesting. I don't have that written down, but I'll take the point.
It's not the details that get me on this sort of thing. I usually look at more like holistic, would they get away with this kind of thing? It bugs me a little bit that no one has caught up to U.S. technology from the 60s yet, right? It's almost 2020 and second place hasn't arrived at the finish line yet. That's weird to me. We didn't have that kind of lead. 2, all of our moon landings were during the Nixon administration. Like that's kind of
69 to 72.
Yeah, we were able to do this when like one of our most corrupt governments was in place, but not since.
If Trump goes, we'll know it's all fakery.
That would be hilarious. Go to the moon.
If he does an address from the moon, like he's on the moon.
Yeah, right.
He's talking to us. He's got an extra large helmet so that his hair can fit in it. And
his spacesuit has an abnormally long tie.
He'd be like making jokes like, I haven't felt this light since high school. That'd be good shit. So, all right, you guys get a point for the C rock. There were, I'm skipping that too. That's really dumb. Duplicate background. So if you look at the Apollo 15 mission and prior, when we sent a rover there to take photos or whatever, the background of the two, including the two hills and the landscape, are exactly the same. Now, NASA's explanation is that the small size of the moon and the distances, it can kind of play tricks on you because of the horizon. But when layered over each other, the hills are the exact same distance away, even though NASA claimed that it was, very far away from that initial site where that photo was taken by the rover. So what the fuck else did they say? Yeah, that's all I got on that one. Just look up moon landing duplicate background. And you'll find that.
I'm pretty sure we went, man. And to Woody's point, I don't think that it's not that they haven't caught up on technology. I think it's just the expenditure. I think it's just so fucking expensive to go.
It's quite the boondoggle, right? Does everyone know this term boondoggle? In my experience, it's like a work trip that's really a vacation. Apparently, we didn't get a lot of science from it. Maybe we got a lot of science from the achievement of going there and coming back, but the moon itself yielded just not very interesting stuff.
I think we got a lot of technology and a lot of discoveries that came about
because we had to solve a problem.
Getting there.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we need some, Velcro, for example, is
Teflon. I'm going to.
But I just think it's so goddamn expensive to do it. I want to say India maybe made a rover and went to the moon not too long ago, and they said that it cost less to do that than to make, I can't remember which movie, Interstellar. It was like much cheaper for the Indians to send their rover to the moon than it was for us to make the film Interstellar. I don't know. It's just sending a man up there and 3 men really, to the moon, and then 2 landed on it. I think Alan Shepard was the guy who stayed in the orbiter craft, whatever that thing's fucking called. That's the most technologically scary part to me. If you told me that I was going to be on this mission to go to the moon. The 3 of us, because let's just go with that, because there's 3 astronauts, and they're like, all right, we're gonna send you. We're gonna put you on this enormous rocket. It's the biggest rocket ever made by a man. We're gonna blast you through the fucking atmosphere. You're gonna rotate a couple times, then see those guys with the Coke bottle glasses? They've been working some math out for a while, and they know just when you should start using these. Well, you've got a little fuel, about as much as you could fit into a scuba tank. You're going to use that to leave orbit and head toward the moon, and then, well, Taylor, you're going to have to stay on the orbiter. I'm sorry, we don't have a helmet that'll fit you, so you've got to stay up there. And Woody and Kyle, you're going to land, and then once you've done all your science shit, you're going to take back off and you're going to meet up with Taylor. That's where I'd be like, whoa. Woody and I are going to fucking land. And then we have to take off again in that thing covered in the gold aluminum foil. And we have to somehow meet up with Taylor in outer fucking space in his garbage can vessel and like clamp up with him and then figure out how to come home. That's the scariest fucking part. Taking back off from the moon. Because
that's what did him in Interstellar. It's the docking.
Oh, well, I didn't do it. That was the cool part.
Docking. Isn't that where you put your dick up to a guy with an uncircumcised dick and you roll the skin onto your...
They had to match the spin of the Interstellar docking. I remember there was some damage.
That's what Aldrin and Armstrong were doing.
Did they do it without
they
damage?
stepped out.
The robot's like, it's not possible. He's like, no, it's necessary. And he's like, dun 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 dun, and he does it. Yeah,
with no damage. It wasn't like I thought
they had already had a huge catastrophe before that,
right.
So there was already like that. The reason he had to do such a dangerous maneuver is because of the damage that had already been incurred from a separate incident. That movie made me cry so fucking hard.
You like that one more than me. Yeah, Kyle's really enjoyed Interstellar.
I didn't think it was that good.
Oh, it's so fucking good.
I mean, it wasn't bad. It was just, it didn't enthrall me.
It gripped me.
Are there any actual credible arguments that we didn't land on the moon? Because every single one of the things I was looking up and writing down, I'm like, I don't know fucking shit about this whole process, and this seems seedy.
It seems like we went,
we definitely did, right?
And it's probably our proudest moment as a country. Honestly, it's pretty spectacular and incredible that we actually did that shit. I mean, look at the cars that were around in '69. Look at the fucking what a telephone looked like in '69. Just name a piece of technology. What a computer looked like in 1969, and then say, all right, you're gonna take this shit and you're gonna go to fuck. If we were going today to the moon, it'd be like, I hope we got our ducks in a row.
We are going. Yeah. Elon Musk is saying he wants to go. Elon Musk is saying he's going to go in 2 years, which might mean 4-ish. And he says that NASA says they can't do it, and it's literally easier to go to the moon than to convince NASA to do it. Which I thought Taylor would like.
It is.
I saw that.
It's interesting. It is weird to your point earlier, Woody, like Japan or Russia or none of them just thought like
China.
Yeah, the Americans did it. We may as well do it just to show we can. Like, apparently, I don't think we thought there was that much to find on the moon. I think we were just doing it as like a fuck you to the Soviet Union, right?
I like I feel like we lost the space race, moved the goalpost, and said we won. Because we
literally did.
Yeah,
first one into orbit wins. Like, we actually have rocket in orbit 3 days from now. Yeah, orbit. Child's play. How about
first one orbiting 6 times? 6-1. First one, with the space station. First one on the moon. All right, then they have a space station. People living all. No, that one. That wasn't it.
We meant Mars the whole time.
I disagree. It's like
really.
Yeah, because like
we did change the rules mid-game. That was a very third grade way for us to behave in the Cold War.
I think that their accomplishments were much more minor in comparison. It's like, we got the first satellite up there, and you might think, oh, cool. I bet that's just a ball that sends back information. They just launched a fucking piece of metal up real high.
They did it before we did.
They did do it before,
but it's complicated to receive that. I don't know. De-error check the signal it sends, and
then they sent a dog up there. That poor fucking thing got cooked, and then they supposedly sent that Yuri guy up there.
Yuri Gagarin.
I don't buy that. I'm pretty sure that I watched this whole documentary that claims that Yuri fucking burned up, and they hid it and pretended like he made it back. And I could totally see the fucking Soviets doing that. I could see us doing that. You know, if
Wait, there's like pictures out there of all the Soviet like high command people standing around Gagarin's corpse, and it's just like a shriveled up, burned crisp. Like it's like
would you guys go
it
to
looks like a
space?
40-pound dog you lit on fire.
Would you guys go? It's one of the highest death rate occupations in the world, astronaut.
Yeah.
Can't be.
I think it is.
Okay, because of the number of total astronauts, though. Yeah.
I'm not saying
but we haven't lost one in a while. Like
that one Challenger explosion really threw the numbers up.
There was the one in like when the space shuttle exploded.
There was one post 9/11.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. Discovery, I think.
Could be. Yeah.
When we lost 3 or 4 or 5 astronauts or whatever. Yeah, it would depend on what. Yeah, I would go to space. I think it's just a flat answer. Yeah. Now, as far as going on some sort of Mars mission, I don't think I'd want to do that because like that's gonna be so fucking
good call. Yeah, because it's just I don't have much faith in our ability to pull that off, and even if we did, it would suck.
It's gonna really suck. I think it's like it's at minimum like 6 months there and 6 months back. And it's not like you could go there and then turn right around. It's like, all right, in a year and a half, the planets will be aligned correctly again. So it's only a 6-month journey back and not a year and 2 months or whatever the fuck it ends up being if you fuck that up.
I saw The Martian. It's not a good scene.
There's a Netflix show.
Super fast. Kyle was right about Teflon and penis length.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's not a made up thing.
I found like
and
6
salt.
sources.
I've trusted every word you've said ever since the salt epiphany.
Rarely wrong. So yeah, I wouldn't want to go up there. I wouldn't want to be on Mars. Like the living conditions are gonna suck. There's gonna be it's gonna be awful. It's gonna.
You'd pull your phone out 10 different times a day for the first month, like trying to order Postmates.
You're gonna let me bring my phone? You're not gonna let me bring my phone? I'll be like Homer Simpson's. I've snuck a bag of Lay's potato chips. And everybody looks over at me. Nah, it's not gonna work. But if there was some kind of space tourism thing where you're going to orbit, or you're going to go to the space station, which would be cool. I think the space station would be the coolest trip because you get some moving around room. You get to float around in there, and maybe that Canadian guy will play his guitar for you, and you can piss in that hose or whatever, and that'll be neat. And
I feel like Canada has their astronauts up there more just for fun, where it's like, yeah, we're part of the world. Like we're part of the team, whereas like the Russians and Chinese and Americans are the ones research and everything. I know that's not true because even the dumbest astronaut is leagues smarter than I could ever hope to be. Because like, have you looked at astronaut requirements? I haven't, but I assume they're high. I assume they don't let any, Tom, Dick, or Joe waltz in there.
Sometimes they do. When the Challenger, I want to say maybe the Challenger explosion, there was just a school teacher on that ride.
She won a contest, I think.
What was her name? Sally, right?
Oh shit!
Do you remember that?
That makes it worse. I didn't know there's a contest.
Yeah, they're like, she was the first and only winner.
Yeah, she got the lucky box of Wheaties. Yeah, got to go up into space. Oh, that is such.
They buried her in it. Yeah.
Did you watch that live, Woody? That was before Kyle and I were around.
No, I was out grocery shopping and came back to discover that it was just replaying constantly on the television.
Yeah, that was fucked. But yeah, I'd go.
I'd go
to the moon
day.
Too, because the moon is like a.
So net positive in your world.
Yeah, it was still a good day. It wasn't 9/11. Like 9/11 impacted. Like everybody's mood was down. Everyone was sad. It was someone. Not even if you didn't know anyone that died, everybody knew someone who died, who was impacted by this thing. It seemed like it wasn't okay to pay attention to sports anymore. They just weren't important. It wasn't okay to laugh. It was the Challenger blew up. I guess it was Space Shuttle, whichever one it was. It was like, oh, that's fucked up. What else is on TV?
Yeah, it was pretty different between the attack and the accident. Yeah, I'd go. I'd go and do just about anything other than like deep space travel, like something to Mars. Like that just seems stupid. I mean, it seems I wish someone would do it, but it's not gonna be fucking somebody like me. I wouldn't make that decision.
Yeah,
but the moon would be cool as fuck. I'd definitely go to the moon because that's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days there and 4 or 5 days back or something like that. It's ridiculous. What did he purchase here? He made another. It's an Elgato card. He bought some sort of 4K Elgato card or something like that. Who fucking knows? Like.
I wonder if he'll start uploading to YouTube, right? Because you don't need a 4K 60 frames per second recording card for Twitch, right? Unless I'm mistaken, Twitch only does 3,500.
I think that's why Chiz linked this, because he's stupid. I think.
I hate picking on Wings, but
it's fun.
Yeah, so I guess he just bought the top of the line one, $350.
He keeps talking about being out of money and like I've got no money this, I got no money that, wah no money. But every week he buys another $500 toy.
What did he buy recently?
Apple Watch. He just bought this $400 capture card. Before that, he bought some sort of a toy for like a kid. What was it? He bought some sort of a car or something, or a cart or something like that. Then of course he bought that $6,000 V6 Mustang and sunk another like several $1,000s into it. And he said his truck, which is a 2002 Silverado 4x4, was worth like $10,000 or something like that. And we all looked at it.
What is it worth? Do you know?
About $2,500.
I was close. I would have said $2,000.
Yeah, it's worth $2,000, dude. That's in excellent condition, by the way. We looked up the
This
KBB.
might be an excellent. Oh no, it's got dents on it, right?
It's got all kinds of issues. He just has and he routinely, it seems, like every year he puts like $4,000 more into it or something like that. Yeah, it's a 2002. Like it's almost 2020.
He likes it though. Like I don't knock him for keeping that truck. You know,
I don't knock you for keeping your truck, but you know what it's worth.
Yeah, nothing. You know,
nothing.
It's mostly why I haven't sold it. It's not worth anything to anyone else, and I think that I might miss it. I still sometimes think about selling it.
It's worth more to you than anyone would ever pay, and that's
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's just off target with the $10,000. I don't know why he would think that.
But yeah, he thinks a lot of his truck. I don't know why. It's good stuff.
Which is why I don't mind him keeping it.
More. You should follow him more. You'd feel less sorry for him because you'd see how toxic and awful he is.
That's possible. For some reason I was just thinking about unions. When I lived in New Jersey, where the unions are strong, I thought very low of them. You know, I always just heard of people who weren't losing their jobs, who clearly should, people who hurt other people who did ridiculously dumb things, you know, high on cocaine, driving trains, like the Dead song. And the motor came out and it was like banging on everything and he didn't notice. It was like, and they're protecting his job. And you see it in like teaching and cops and stuff. And then I moved down here where there's very little union protection. And suddenly it was like, oh, those guys that, you know, I don't hear anything about anymore aren't so bad. Maybe they did have a thing going on. Maybe they're being taken. Maybe if they collectively bargained, they'd have a better deal. So with me not watching Wings that closely, you know, it's kind of like I feel about unions now. Like when you're not so close, they're not so bad.
If he just becomes an idea, then it's easy to like an idea. But if you actually like watch him and see what he does on a daily basis and what a sourpuss and like a degenerate he is daily, and he'll immediately be like, I'm not a bad guy, I do this and that. And it's like we just watched you be a degenerate for an hour and a half. Like you
degenerate?
Yeah.
Do I know what that word means?
Just a terrible person. Just a terrible person. You watch him for just a little while. This is how he interacts with people. This is how he treats people. Like, I don't know. I don't treat people like that in my interactions. Like it's that thing we always talked about. Like, I won't say the guy's name, but there was that guy that we went to events with, and he would treat me in a certain way. He would treat Woody in a certain way, and he'd treat Taylor in a certain way. And it was literally a tier system based on how many subscribers we each had. And it's like, I don't treat people like that. People are people. Like, whether it's a fellow YouTuber who's got 6 million subscribers, or it's a fan who showed up to, you know, pay hard-earned fucking money to come play paintball with me.
You mean we didn't become friends because you were trying to leech off my clout?
No.
Guilty.
No. I didn't want any of your clout. You know, like I just treat people like they deserve to be treated based on who they are as people, and respect everybody based on the respect they earn mostly, but on initial meetings, like everybody gets this sort of like, I like how Richard Ryan put it. He's like, I treat everybody like rock stars. It's like, yeah, you know he does. He really does. He's always been super cool to me. He's super cool to everybody.
Yeah, that comes
And,
second
like,
nature to a guy like him.
Yeah,
Like, he's just a kind-hearted person.
yeah. I do my best to live up to that example, and Wings just doesn't do that. You see him like really mistreat people, and like
he
do
tiers
games
systems a
or
little
whatever.
bit. Like he's always been that. He I guess in particular online friends, he just considers very disposable. Whereas I think of them as like someone you invest into and relationships that get stronger over time. He, dude, there's 10 more where you came from. He
Yeah.
just,
Yeah,
yeah.
and he just he just says things that aren't true. Like he used to say that he was FPS Russia. Remember that?
No.
I don't remember that.
No.
Yeah, he's on recording saying that. He's on recording being like somebody beat him in Battlefield, and he's like, "Don't you know who I am? I've got X amount of subscribers on War God ICP. I've got X amount of
Oh,
subscribers
I remember
on
that now.
PKA, and I've got Y amount of subscribers on FPS Russia." And it's like, this was before like I had gone on camera, and he's pretending like he's the guy who's doing the voices in those 250,000 view
Yeah.
Call of Duty videos. He's pretending like he is the Russian character guy who's doing quite well right now on YouTube. Like
Yeah, that's a weird fib to tell. It's like it's gonna come out and people will see, that's not you. Like clearly, it's some other skinny
he represented us in Korea though, so we can never forget that.
guy. Yep.
See, that's the kind of thing I like to let go. Like because he was younger. He was 26, but he was a really sheltered 26, right? He wasn't a guy who had done it. And, in the same way that like I might see a 16-year-old and now that guy's 22. He's a totally different dude. That's how I feel about his 26 to 32.
Yeah.
I think that's totally fair.
That's true.
Yeah. Everybody changes a lot in their 20s.
And then he got that disease that shrunk him from 6'4" down to 5'11". That sucked.
That's a terrible disease to have.
I wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
It's the worst disease. Danny DeVito syndrome.
It's called liar syndrome.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's my shit on Wings segment for this week, so we can move on to something else.